everyone, it's Jack and Adam back again with the news. Adam, how have you been since an hour or two ago when we last did it?
Yeah, really big. I've been uploading videos to Facebook and, you?
I've been preparing a special script for something that, well, it seems like it's going to be quite far off. The script it's quite a long one, so I don't envy the editor here. That's for later on. We've got some news to talk about anyway, so...
Yeah, that'd be good, yeah.
We'll do the headlines, yeah.
Sweet.
First of all, a former WWE Champion is making his in-ring return this week. Next up, a WWE Hall of Famer has revealed sleazy behaviour backstage. And finally, an AEW star has been written off TV for the foreseeable future. So, first of all, yes, a former WWE Champion is returning this week. We know this because he is set to make his return on Main Event, and they taped the matches on Monday, so they're going to take place on Thursday's episode of Main Event. 2 matches were taped. One was Ricochet versus Mustafa Ali, but the other one was Jeff Hardy being defeated, being put to the sword, slain by former WWE Champion Jinder Mahal. Adam's excited.
Come on! Yeah. Making his big return on Main Event! Lucky bastard.
Well, he has... well, he has been gone. He's been dealing with injury problems, I believe. But this is a bit of a significant development because not only did he beat Jeff Hardy alone, he received an assist from Indus, the NXT tag team, who I think most recently, well, they've been affiliated with Malcolm Bivens on NXT. They also featured in I can't even remember the name of the event, the WWE event they did, which featured a lot of Indian talent or talent of Indian origin. I can't remember what it was even called. You know the one I mean. You remember?
Yeah, I watched every second of it.
Yeah, me too. I loved it. But they're there, and they could well be Jinder's henchmen going forwards. Who knows?
It certainly looks like it, and I feel for them because I think they've got like a lot of potential, and they could do what, through no fault of their own, what AOP didn't manage to do. Like, there are a couple of big burly lads who look incredibly intimidating, but to be partnered with Jinder Mahal, nothing wrong with that. It's a bit of an obvious choice for some henchmen, but to be partnered with Jinder and to make their, I guess what is probably their main roster call up on Main Event, that sucks a little bit for them because I think they're really good. Quite like it. It
does. It could just be a case of easing them in because remember, Jinder was facing Jeff Hardy, who isn't someone we traditionally associate with Main Event either. You know, he's a big name. I've never heard of him, but he's pretty big deal, Jeff Hardy.
Doesn't ring a bell.
But this could well be them being eased in, I suppose. But I do understand what you mean. If they were going to do this, surely for Maximum Impact, they'd just show up on Raw and help him out, wouldn't they? Yeah.
Maybe they'll do it properly on Raw or SmackDown.
Maybe.
Probably Raw if they've taped Main Event.
In a weird way, we've all given him stick in the past, haven't we? But I miss Jinder.
He's looking great. He's bald. Yeah. He's looking shredded. We all knew that the sort of the work that he put in the gym is insane. He looks $1 million.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, something that's not $1 million, God, is that recently, and I'm playing down what is actually quite an important situation. So Molly Holly recently got inducted into the Hall of Fame, didn't she? And she was recently speaking to X-Pac on the Pro Wrestling for Life podcast. And she basically was talking about, well, from reading her words, which were transcribed very helpfully by Fightful, it seemed as though she was saying this behavior wasn't deliberate, but it was sort of a sign of a way of thinking, or basically an old-fashioned, just something that's completely outdated backstage and just isn't good. So she's saying this person wasn't malicious in what they were doing. It just betrayed a very ignorant and outdated mindset, essentially. So what she said was, before Finlay became the agent for the women's division, and by all accounts Finlay did an incredible job, just absolutely incredible job with the women's division. But before him, they tried out a few other agents. And Molly Holly said, I'm not going to name names, but there is an old school wrestler who I love as a person who got tried out as one of our agents, and no lie, is just saying things like, why don't we do this spot where you put your face in Trish's boobs? And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Are we rewinding time? It was awful. It was
I love Jerry Lawler, but we don't know who it is, and I'm not going to speculate. It would be wrong to do so.
Yeah,
she continued saying she told John Laurinaitis, head of talent relations, this guy's going to get in trouble. for harassment. He doesn't mean any harm. He's just thinking like he's never seen our show before and doesn't know what we can do. It is a very outdated way of thinking. You've got to imagine it's somebody who's been in WWE for a long time and was pretty used to the way that women used to be treated in WWE.
Yeah, which is a shame because, I mean, obviously in the past few years, even women's wrestling has come along leaps and bounds. And it's, again, the most frustrating thing is it's not through the women trying harder or them being better or anything. We have had a very talented crop of prominent women's wrestlers come through, but it's more down to a very late in the day change of attitude towards women's wrestling, which is just totally, should have been done years and years ago.
That's it. It's WWE get a lot of praise for this, but it's WWE fixing a problem that they introduced themselves. And
right.
So the women's revolution is obviously a very good thing, but it was long overdue, and that's down to WWE booking them like objects, booking these women like objects for a hell of a long time. And
also, I've seen a lot of people, and it's good that people are still clinging on to this because it is a point worth making. They're still reluctant to do another Evolution 2, the all-women's pay-per-view, which was really, really good, which was one of the better pay-per-views of that year, if I remember rightly. Featured a lot of good matches. And, they championed themselves for doing that a lot, and then were reluctant to do it again. And as at the time of recording, they haven't done it again. So, it's a bit of a frustrating situation.
I like that at the time of recording, like they're going to put it on in the next 2 hours before we get this live.
No, just in case anybody's going on a big watch of all of our old news videos, just for fun. Anyway, moving on from one prominent women's wrestler to another. Chelsea Green, obviously, made headlines recently for being released from WWE. There was controversy on social media as well. Recently, she's been talking about Trash Bag Gate. Mickie James, of course, when she was released, was sent her belongings or her, her bits and bobs in the locker room in a trash bag. It led to the release of, what's his name? Mark Carano. It led to his release. But Chelsea Green has said now that she was also sent a trash bag, or a bin bag as we call it in the UK, upon her release. But it was weird because I'll explain what she said. She was speaking on her own 50 Shades of Green podcast and said, upon further inspection of the trash bag, I started to realise I'm not really sure what's in this trash bag. I pull out some black boots, beautiful black boots, but not my black boots. I then pull out a second pair of black boots, again beautiful boots, but not my boots. Then we get to the third item, the most gorgeous little leather shrug with studs and diamonds and flappy things and pink jewels and all sorts of things. And if you know, I'm enjoying the description. If you know women's wrestling, it's like Dickens. If you know women's wrestling, you know that the person who wears black leather with pink is always the same person. It's always going to be Natalya. So I knew right away that the contents of my box were actually Natty's box. I continued to pull things out. A lot of it was Natty's. But I also ran into some questionable items. Cute little skirts, little dresses and things like that maybe look like they belong to Lana or Liv. I don't know if there were other things in that box. Also a basketball. She said, they've just been what's Chelsea Green's stuff? I throw that basketball over there. I don't know who the F is playing basketball, she said, at WWE backstage. So the contents of my
Street
box
Profits.
Yes.
They did the thing, didn't they?
And the Viking Raiders, yeah. So the contents of my box were in fact not mine, and it just seemed to belong to many other females. I let WWE know that, and the person, he who shall not be named, she says,
Jerry Lawler,
because he was let go from WWE, right. So not Jerry Lawler. He told me to drop the box off at someone's house to send the box on its way. I was shook. Here's the thing. The contents of this box are expensive. Wrestling boots are expensive. Gear is expensive. Clothing. It's all expensive. I'm not just going to drop it off at someone's house and just hope that it gets to Tampa. It is very bizarre, isn't it?
Hopefully this isn't an indication that they planned on releasing Natalya or Liv Morgan or the Street Profits. No, it's obviously, it sucks for her. It really does. But on the bright side, you've got to imagine that Natalya ring-worn gear is probably worth a little bit more than Chelsea Green in ring gear. So maybe if you stick that on eBay, it's not all bad news. No, I love Chelsea. No, it sucks. It's not on.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Chelsea Green, she also shared on Instagram that she recently underwent surgery to remove a plate from her arm. The caption of the image read, "Post-surgery photo, the plate in my arm is out and I'm ready to get back to work. It's been a long 2 years of struggling with breaks, surgeries, hardware and some other complications, but we are finally at the finish line," which is good news for her.
Yeah, good. Send her all the best.
yes, and hopefully she recovers from this surgery soon. But it seems like, just from what she said, it seems like the sort of surgery that's going to help her out in the long run. So hopefully that all goes well. And again, sticking with the same sort of situation with women's wrestlers being released and the bin bags and Mark Carano and everything, Mickie James has said on the Grown Ass Women podcast that her detractor still works for WWE. So WWE made a big deal about saying the person responsible has been let go and we've sorted it out. But Mickie James has said, I will say this, the person that was/is responsible for me feeling like S-word and like for trying to sabotage or devalue me and make me feel less than is still very much employed, and that's the worst, you know what I mean? And yeah, that is...
See, I like Jerry Lawler, but at the end of the day... I'm sorry, this is so unprofessional. No, it sucks to hear. It does feel like Mark Carano, it was a bit of a fall guy, perhaps. Not to say that, but given everybody speaking out about the way that he had treated people, and that Mickie James herself said he wasn't a good person. She doesn't feel especially bad about him being let go. Obviously, the problems run deeper than that.
Yeah, I feel like even though he certainly wasn't blameless by all accounts, he does seem to have been scapegoated a bit, or at least WWE have gone, that's it, we're all good now, and it's just not, it's not good. On the positive side, I should mention, I think it was left off the end of our Chelsea Green quote that we read just a little bit earlier. She did say that once she basically kicked up a fuss, once she rightfully complained about it, she said it was then handled very well. She said that Triple H put out a nice tweet on social media, and she said that was all fantastic. But obviously it should have been dealt with properly without having to kick up a fuss about it. Elsewhere, we'll go to Fightful now, because WWE are reportedly working with a top indie promotion. According to Fightful, there have been conflicting reports regarding the emerging details of WWE and MLW having discussions regarding talent sharing. Apparently many in NXT were left in the dark about the situation and didn't even know until the rumour had emerged, but Dave Meltzer's initial report that the preliminary conversations have happened and that talks go high up in WWE have been corroborated by Fightful. Fightful have been told that conversations go high up in both companies, but don't have any further details beyond that. So WWE looking to do a bit of a talent share potentially with Major League Wrestling. Yeah,
it feels like it's a little far away, and we don't know what it specifically relates to. Is it MLW stars coming over to WWE? Is it WWE lending the odd WWE or NXT star to MLW? I think it's a little way off, so I think we're going to have to wait on this one. But it's interesting. It's all to do with WWE not wanting to be perceived as doing things sort of old school, and with companies like AEW, Impact, New Japan sharing talent, they don't want to be left behind on that. So it's very much a PR move, but we don't exactly know what it entails as of yet. They did this as well. Well, they've done this in the UK, as we all well know in the UK scene, because it caused a lot of debate about what that was doing for the UK wrestling scene. But also with Evolve, they had a bit of a partnership going on with Evolve. Evolve has now obviously ceased to exist. So I don't know. We'll see where that goes. And a top AEW star finally has been written off TV. Top.
Well, it says top. Also, I've met him about 3 times, and he's always been lovely.
I like Kip. Kip.
It's Kip Sabian. Fightful Select say that Kip Sabian is dealing with an undisclosed injury, apparently, and we're reportedly told in late April that he was on the shelf. This was prior to the attack from Miro on Dynamite, but apparently that seems to have been used as a way of basically writing him off so he can recover in whatever way he needs to. Fightful are suggesting that he may need to get surgery, so hopefully that all goes well for Kip Sabian. Yeah, I really like Kip Sabian. I think his in-ring work is great, and I don't want to say he's saddled with a bad gimmick or anything, but he's just had a bit of a rough time in AEW. I think he should have been doing more, and the same can be said for Miro, so hopefully him being written off for a bit means that he can come back with a bit of a new character, do something new there, and Miro is pushed in the way that he should have probably been pushed from the start, and perhaps not with the association with Kip Sabian, to be honest. I'm not sure it was the right call. I still want to see him as a heel, though, Kip Sabian. Even if they do tweak his character, I think, absolutely, he's a natural. I remember he was one of the big standouts of the quite short-lived World of Sport, the ITV revival of World of Sport over here, because he just stood out so much in backstage promos with Mr. Biggins, or whatever the name of the... What was he called? What was it? It looked like the Demon Headmaster a bit, with a Mr.
Plymley, Mr. Plimsoll.
Yeah, something like that. There was
Ollie Plimsolls.
There was an authority figure who clearly had no background in wrestling. It was an actor that they hired, which was great.
He was a bad actor.
They could have chosen any
Somebody
actor.
external with no star power or anything like that.
Yeah.
He was
But
great.
legit-
Owen, find it out and put a picture of him up. And we'll finish the video by paying tribute to Mr. Plymley.
Mr.
What was his name?
So yeah, cheers to him. Great times. I hope he gets back into wrestling.
Yeah.
And,
even more so than Kip. Obviously, we wish all the best to Kip and everything, but more so all the best to Mr. Plymley.
Cheers for
Wasn't
watching,
even his
everybody.
name.
Cheers, Mr. Plimsoll. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you very soon.